I just want to say right off the bat that I love Pokemon, okay? I watched the show, I played the games, I collected the cards. There was even a point when I wasn't allowed to like Pokemon because my mom thought it was satanic. I've had quite the experience with this franchise and it holds a special place in my heart, so it's really disappointing to see where it's been going as of lately. I was very hesitant to play Generation 8, but my brother got Pokemon Shield, so I decided to give it a chance. And I liked it. The core gameplay is still fun to me. Discovering, catching, and training cute and cool little monsters hasn't gotten stale in over so many years, but there's still so many little niggles about the game that's stuck in the back of my mind. Oh, sorry your favorite Pokemon isn't in the game, but it was all worth it for all these high quality animations. But I'm just beating a dead horse here at this point. The games are primarily made to push the merchandise, and since Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise of all time, everything seems to be going well on that front. But for fans of the games who are still dreaming about their open world Pokemon game with all the regions and cool features, well, we're really holding on to blind faith, aren't we? The game feels rushed. There's that distinct musk of corporate greed in the air, and Game Freak's reasoning for some of their decisions don't hold up under closer examination. I'm sure there's plenty of people at Game Freak who want to make the games a truly great experience, but profits and deadlines take precedence over quality, and no amount of protest or boycotting will change that since the game sells so well regardless. And yes, I think the DLC expansion is a good idea overall. It's better than adding a few new additions onto the game and re-releasing it at full price. That, and a wild area, are steps forward for the series, but keep in mind we took like 18 steps backwards to get here. It's okay to want more from a series you've loved for so long, but we gotta keep in mind that it's probably not gonna get better. Pokemon Sword and Shield are fine. Good games even. I just wish they were better. Pokemon is as good as it's always been. Don't you dare rip on all the hard work Game Freak did for us. Okay, then why did I recently replay Pokemon Diamond and still enjoy it more than Gen 8? That's because you're blinded by nostalgia. The Gen 4 games have so many problems. You've just grown out of liking Pokemon, and the only reason you like the older games more is because they're from your childhood. So you obviously aren't suited to enjoy this game formula anymore. Okay, then why did I like this? Temtem, for those of you who are unaware, is a recently released early access MMORPG where your goal is to run around catching cute monsters and training them up to fight other monsters. Golly gee, doesn't that sound familiar? This game has been making waves on the internet since its release. Not huge waves, but waves nevertheless. Making more waves than I ever will. People seem very divided by it. Some saying it's what we've all been waiting for, a game that's better than Pokemon in every way, Game Freak's wake-up call, and so on. While others say it's a shameless cash grab and an inferior copycat, it'll be dead in a year, and so forth. Whereas I don't think it's neither of these two extremes. So what do I think of it? Well, I like it, but it has problems. A lot of problems. I'll start from the beginning. Day 1, the game is released. I buy, download, and start the game. Oh. After a 25-minute queue time, this happened. After another 25-minute queue time, I start playing and... oh. I can barely move. The game definitely had a rocky launch, but it wasn't a deal breaker yet, so I pressed on. Late that night, and I mean late, I can start the game over proper. I created my character, picked out my first Temtem, fought my rival, and lost because he's a cheating little brat with stupid hair. Those first couple hours were magical. That feeling of exploring a new place and meeting cool and cute little critters to catch gave me the warm fuzzies. But Temtem does bring more to the table than just copying the tried and true Pokemon formula. For one, it's an MMO, meaning you can see other players running around having their own little adventures. The Temtem in your first party slot follows you around in the overworld. There was more than one occasion where I saw a cool Tem follow another player, and my reaction was, "Whoa, what is that? I want one, where can I get one?" All these things together kept me in high spirits. Then I noticed a couple things that were starting to bother me, and reality started to settle in. I want to take a moment to elaborate on the combat system, which I do think is an overall improvement compared to Pokemon. All the battles are double battles by default, which by itself makes for more dynamic encounters than you'll find in Pokemon. Instead of Temtem having PP that governs how many times they can use a move, they all have a stamina bar, and all moves take cost from that stamina to use. If you exceed what's left of your stamina, your Tem will take damage and you will not be able to attack the next turn. Let's say you want to do a Bamboozle, but Bamboozle has high high cost and you already did a bamboozle your last turn. You can do a bamboozle now to protect you or your teammate from an attack, but you won't be able to bamboozle the next turn and he'll take some damage. Is it worth it to bamboozle now or to bamboozle later? This design of limiting your usage of more powerful moves promotes organic strategy, while also removing more random elements such as critical hits and accuracy checks. This revamped formula really makes battles feel more engaging, but the downside is that it really draws the battles out. Say what you will about Pokemon's lack of difficulty, but at least tedious fights are short and sweet. Temtem battles, be it tamer or wild encounters, feel substantially longer than Pokemon battles, which would be fine if I didn't get into a battle every 5 seconds. I think we all can agree that random encounters just aren't fun. It's something we've all had to put up with for the longest time, and now I'm sick of it. And well, what do you know, random encounters are aplenty in Temtem. At first, it was exciting to see what new critter would hop out of the grass, but it quickly grew tiresome when I'm just trying to get back to a health kiosk to heal my party when I keep getting swarmed by Bajeros left and right. There's no way to completely avoid them either. The equivalent of repels that you can buy only reduce the encounters. I don't know how much, but it didn't seem to matter, as one time I used one and I got a random encounter after every step before it wore off. Even if you get into a battle, there's no guarantee you'll escape unharmed, even if you're several levels higher than the wild Temtem. Even if your Temtem are faster than them, if you try to flee, sometimes the game just says no, and they get a free hit on you. This is very frustrating. Putting aside wild encounters, the many tamer battles aren't much better. The battle system is fun, and some stronger tamers present a truly satisfying challenge, but the sheer amount of tamers you have to fight can really wear you down, especially early on when items are expensive, money is scarce, and your team isn't very developed. I often found myself backtracking to heal my party just so I can keep moving forward. That and the wild encounters make getting from point A to point B a bigger hassle than it oughta. It feels like the game is wasting my time on purpose. The stranglehold grip the game has on your progression does loosen up a bit by the second island, but by then a whole host of other inconveniences start cropping up. Look, I know the game is still in early access. All the problems I've listed could be resolved as time goes on, but when you're charging $35 for a game, that's almost the price of a full game, you should expect to be criticized as one. Being small or indie is not an excuse. The moment you slap a price tag on something is the moment I expect quality and polish. Temtem does a lot of things right. The battles and the Temtem themselves are the best thing about it, but the more and more I progress, the more and more it's slowly turning into a major time sink, like most MMOs are infamous for doing. I have a life, I have a job, I have hobbies. It's hard to want to devote 30 plus hours of my life to breed, train, and prep a Temtem team for competitive play. Temtem has the potential to be great. It just needs some quality of life changes, a loyal community, active developers, and time. Trim the excess fat and busy work. Trust me, people have no problem making busy work of their own. So will Temtem overtake Pokemon in popularity? No. No! If you think that, you're crazy. Is it a good alternative? Well, as of this recording, I've spent 53 hours playing it, and I do plan on playing it more. So much for that life I was talking about. If that's worth $35 to you, go for it. Is it funner than Pokemon Sword and Shield? I don't think so. Say what you will about the Gen 8 games, but they've really done a good job alleviating so much of the grind RPGs are known for. Pokemon Camp is fun, raid battles are fun. Pokemon is fun despite the bad stuff, whereas early access Temtem is annoying and grindy despite the fun stuff. On the other hand, I think Temtem has a brighter future in terms of content people actually want. But for Pokemon, well, it's really up in the air. Then again, it's pretty apples and oranges to compare an indie game with indie developers that have the freedom to do what they want to a massive AAA financial juggernaut that's being choked under the weight of its own success. How's that for a hot take?